He sits.
Ask him if he wants to do it. Okay. Then we can do the pledge.
Trustee Schaefer, we have nobody here for the invocation. Do you want to give the invocation? And you're muted, sir. You have to unmute. I see you talking, but I still can't hear you. Still talking, still can't hear you.
There you
He's
go.
probably still.
How about now?
There you go. Yep.
Yes.
Can you hear me
Yes.
Yes.
now? All right, yeah, the Cowboy Church said they'd come down and do it, but I guess they're not there yet.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
All right, well, I'd be happy to pray for everybody.
Okay,
Okay.
let's do it, please.
All right, prepare yourself in the way that you're accustomed to, and I'll give the invocation. Lord God, I praise you for this day, and thank you for all the folks that have come to attend this meeting. And God, I ask for your wisdom, and I ask that you'd guide this meeting in a way that's honoring and pleasing to you, and help us to make right and wise decisions. Lord God, I ask this in Jesus' name, and everyone says, Amen.
Amen.
Stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will call the meeting to order. It's 7:04. Is that what time you have?
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, ma'am. Good Lord.
Roll call, please.
It's been a long day. Mayor Howard.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hart. Here. Trustee Stahl.
Here.
Trustee Smith.
Here.
Trustee Shamps. Here. And trustee Wineland is absent. Trustee Schaefer is on Zoom.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, everybody get a chance to take a look at the agenda. We need an approval. Please, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Your second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, public comment. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. When you are recognized, please stand, state your name, and then address the board in a professional manner. The Board of Trustees may not respond to your comments during this meeting. Rather, they may take your comments and suggestions under advisement, and your questions will be directed to the appropriate person or department for follow-up.
We have Gary and Mary Mayfield.
And then John, do you have public
Me?
comments?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so hard of hearing.
It's okay.
I didn't know. Thank you for hearing us tonight. I see everybody here and I think I recognize this gentleman, so I'll give you a little background of what's going on. This Mary and Gary Mayfield, we live at 905 Pawnee. It's the Spanish style stucco house kind of out here on the end of town. It was part apparently of the Wombles annexation in 2002. And through whatever reason, we ended up, that got foreclosed on that house, and it's a little over 4 acres. We bought that in 2011, so we've been there 15 years. Other land around it, I never did know who ownership was, but apparently recent times came under ownership of Mr. Digby. And whatever went on that, I have no idea, except he ended up being de-annexed. So one of the things that immediately happened then is that isolated us. We were contiguous with the town because we were contiguous with Mr. Digby's land. But now that he's out of town, so we're an island out there with a physical separation between us and the town boundary. Our house has never been on city services. It's never been part of the water or sewer system. It has paid ad valorem real estate taxes, I guess, since its inception. We know we have. And so we were here before, after all this had happened, and we felt the board was favorable about de-annexes and we wanted to be de-annexed. And in fact, a year ago, I think it was about now, sometime maybe it was in November, the board had passed an ordinance and we thought that de-annexes. Well, obviously we were mistaken. Apparently it did not. We don't know why, but we weren't de-annexed. We found out later, because we didn't have a copy of that ordinance, but it was deeding the water rights back to the land that had been deeded away when it was annexed into town. Well, if we're not de-annexed, why did we get our water rights back? But we're not de-annexed, or that's what we've been told. And I believe that's the way it is. I don't know what the next step is. I don't have a clue. I don't, that's why I'm here tonight to present this to you guys, because you're the powers to be. Because I don't know what a move would be. I don't know what to do. Somebody said, well, Digby went to district court. Well, I understand that's true, he did, but I understand it was after he was denied annexation or de-annexation. And my understanding here a year ago, this council was in favor of us being de-annexed, especially after Digby had de-annexed. If I'm mistaken about that, then I'll need to be told so, but I guess I need some guidance, because we don't know what to do. We don't know where to move next. I know the town passes rules itself by ordinances. I know that land was annexed in 2002 under a town ordinance. If there's something in the state law that's changed since 2002, so be it. I would think that it could be de-annexed under town ordinance, but I don't know that. I'm just speaking off the top of my head because I don't know the law. You might be the gentleman that would know that law, so. Anyhow, thank you folks for listening to us. Hopefully we could get this resolved. Our main concern is we're just paying taxes and receiving those services that have been acknowledged by everybody. And we just like to save those taxes there. The taxes are getting tough around here.
Mr. Mayfield,
Is that it, Ray?
No, she's at.
Oh, I'm
Mr. Mayfield, this is Joshua Myers. He's our new legal counsel. And I have
I think
discussed
that's
this with
something
him.
I probably shouldn't have made so, but I'm Gary Mayfield. Nice to meet you,
So
sir.
nice to meet you too, sir.
You'll
Yeah,
have to speak up because he can't.
Well, nice to meet you too. And you are, as the Board of Trustees, able to direct their issue to the appropriate staff member, which could include the town attorney, to look into it further, to provide options to the board on how you can move forward with their concern. And it's not an official action, it's just in general, y'all can
Yeah,
tell me to do it.
We will look into it here and see we will look into it and let's see what we can
well,
get
thank you
figured
very
out.
much. We appreciate your time. Thanks for hearing us.
Yeah.
You bet, thank you. So, yes, John,
Too happy with that?
thank you.
I voted yes.
Thank you, folks. Good
Anything
night.
fails, it's not my fault.
Have a nice evening. Is everybody in agreement to let Josh check into it and see what we can do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Absolutely.
the holdup has been that. I told you scared me to death. Digby was required to let them know when he annexed. He had to let everybody know when he was annexing, but under statutory law, that's not the same to de-annex. So Digby did it without notifying them. Yes, Trevor.
Digby didn't annex it in,
Okay, I'm sorry, Womble annexed it in.
and they lived at that property.
You're correct. Womble annexed it in. Womble sold that plot to them.
And just because it's on record, I don't wanna get.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no,
Um,
you're right. But when Digby de-annexed, there was no requirement to make them notified of it. They found out through one of our newsletters. So we've been having these discussions with them since then. It is their belief that since they're still on their own water and sewer. They've not been attached into the town, so they've never received anything from Kiowa Water and Wastewater. And they really don't get anything else from the town. That they don't wanna be annexed in as well. They wanna save that $600 a month they're paying the town in addition to the other taxes they're paying, so.
They did. What is $600 a month for?
Property taxes,
A month?
A year.
a year.
Oh, yeah.
Did I say a month?
Yes, you
You can go home.
We'll prop you up.
I'm so sorry.
I think they've been trying to
Over
sell
here.
that place for a while.
Have they?
Yes, Yeah.
So
They're the
Move,
nicest people.
move, if we can move as quickly as we can for them, I think they said they were heading south, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Josh is
And we'll have Josh check in,
Johnny on the spot now.
see if we can have an answer for them by November.
And I'm gonna go back to sleep over here, I'm sorry. I'll be quiet now.
Do we have anybody else online for,
Johnny goes
Okay.
back to the building.
seeing none, we'll move into public hearing. And we'll now call the public hearing to order at 7:14.
This is your first, look and discussion on your proposed 2026 budget. I handed each of you a letter that I was able to finalize this morning that goes in conjunction with your budget to explain, your budget a little bit more in detail. Over the past 2 years, the town has maintained a steady, responsible financial growth while continuing to provide essential services and investing in critical infrastructure. The proposed 2026 budget reflects both your dedication to prudent management and our readiness to invest in new opportunities that will hopefully strengthen Kiowa's economic vitality. If you're looking at the general fund overview from 2024 to 2026, there's been an increase in 2025, but we're looking at a small percentage change in 2026, which we touched on earlier in the year when we started talking about the financial challenges we're facing across the state. In total, though, from 2024 to 2026, you've seen a 13.17% increase to your general fund. So that's good. There is a moderate and sustainable increase that's allowing us to address inflationary pressures, maintain service levels to our citizens, and plan strategically for our future, while also trying to ensure our long-term fiscal stability, which is always a really important goal. If you go to the second page, your 2025 projected general fund revenue was $1,003,469. Arguably, half of your general fund is sustained by grants. Sales tax is our next largest contributor to our revenue fund, then property taxes and all our other revenues. Road and street tax brings us up in the rear. 2025 projections highlight a strong resilience on that grant funding, as I pointed out, with stable local tax returns. 2026 is really not going to be much different. A lot of our half of our general fund is coming from the grants that we obtain for our infrastructure. And
No.
Jonathan, can you put yourself on mute, please? Or I'll do it. So 2026 revenues are going to reflect an ongoing success in securing grants because we still have a line of grants that we're still applying for moving into 2026. We're looking at the 2.5 million for bringing in County Road 45 and Kiowa Bennett Road. We're looking at the 1.5 million for the parks. Just to mention a few, we are there was another one on there. I'll have to go back and take a look, but right now we have those two in particular that we're looking at. Then we're possibly or hopefully moving into advertisement for construction on the current project. So that's gonna be a huge multi-million-dollar project in grants that are gonna be going out. We did create the Main Street Fund in this year's budget, since they are an extension of the town. I am recommending that we give them a startup capital of $20,000, which is a contributed income to get them started as a general fund. The initial investment will provide foundation necessary to launch their program, attract matching funds, and demonstrate the town's commitment to economic vitality and community pride through that program. Ultimately, 2026 budget maintains the town's focus on fiscal responsibility, controlling our growth and disciplined spending, community investment, new funding to revitalize Main Street and sustain essential services, infrastructure maintenance, continued use of dedicated street taxes for repair and improvements. And financial stability, which is balanced approach to growth that supports current and future residents. That's essentially the budget I've got for you this year. Yeah, I didn't want to read word for word because you guys could read. We're not in school, so.
Thank you.
Are there any questions about what I've put in the proposed budget that stuck out to you? I did add in the $600,000 we just recently received for the bathrooms. That construction probably won't start till spring. So we do have that in our 2026 budget.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I will tell you, our property tax is going down next year about $40,000, and that's because people fought back to the assessor's office with the excessive increases to their property taxes, and there were about $43,000 refunded back to some of our citizens on property taxes that were already collected. So that'll be reflected next year.
And if we get lucky and the tax increases going, we'll have some more money.
That's correct, because those were not figured in here in any form or fashion. They shouldn't be, so.
No, because we're not, aren't sure how the voters are going
Yep.
to.
So anybody have any questions?
So do we have any idea how the voters are thinking about that?
I haven't heard anything,
I've seen both signs. I just wondered.
yeah.
After we get through with this, I'll let you know something that Tammy and I are gonna try and do. Do we have anybody online that has any questions or comments about the budget? Okay. We'll close the public hearing now.
At 7:19.
And we will be voting on this next month, is that correct?
Yeah,
Pam?
November meeting, we'll look at
Yeah.
it one more time. If there's anything that comes to your attention that you see needs a closer look at, possibly a revision or reconsideration, let me know between now and then, because we're gonna have that as a public hearing again in November and for final approval.
Okay. Moving on, do we have any new business?
No,
Okay. Staff reports. Um. We had a great fall fest. It was awesome. The committee did a really good job putting it together. How many vendors did we have? 30 some?
36.
36 vendors.
They were awesome.
Yeah,
And all of the vendors that were actually selling items. 15 of the 18 of those are gonna be at the Christmas bazaar. They agreed to carry forward to the Christmas bazaar. The other three had a scheduling conflict, but they said next year they would. And they all agreed they would like to come back next year. The for sale and the nonprofits would all like to come back next year, so.
It's awesome.
a few of the retail ones sold out.
Yeah, a few of the retail sold out, and I actually had 3 or 4 people approach me about getting on next year's list, so.
yeah. So that was a great event. Next thing, Kim, Tammy and I have been discussing doing coffee with the mayor. And I would invite you guys, but that would create a problem if there were more than 2 of us in attendance to that.
Yeah, because then I'd be coffee with the board.
Yes, it'd be much. Well, and then it would have to
And
go.
then Josh would pull his hair out. and
Uh-huh,
that problem.
yes,
Then there'd be a
Yes.
forum.
There would be a quorum.
and exactly, if there's a quorum, then that creates a problem. But we're gonna try and do a Saturday. Early afternoon. And open it to the public for them to come. We figured Saturday would probably be the best day. Since everybody always complains that the county and stuff does their meetings during the week. During the day, and they can't get there. And it's just basically gonna be an open forum where people can come in and, tell us their complaints.
Or hopefully give you some praise.
That would be
That'd
nice,
be nice.
but you know as well as I do, that doesn't happen very often. But we thought maybe that would open it up and help so that maybe we wouldn't have so many angry people showing up at our board meetings.
That would be good.
Do you
So,
have a place where you're going to have that yet?
Not yet.
not yet. We're hoping to maybe do it the 25th of this month. We're still working on trying.
That was a discussion had today.
Yeah.
And I did not have time to.
Yeah, I
figure out
understand that.
logistics.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at with that. And part of the reason I would like to do these is I'd like to be able to give a layman's term explanation as to why we want to raise the taxes. Because I don't want my taxes raised any more than the next person. But both of these taxes that we've put in, besides the lodging tax, that will help go towards the road and bridge fund so that we can keep these roads in a little better shape than what they have been.
That'd be good.
So, and I figure maybe we could sit there in layman's terms and explain it to everybody. They might feel a little more comfortable about it and hopefully vote yes.
So I think that's a great idea. I think most people don't really understand the bigger picture. They just see the bigger tax bill. Right.
Yeah.
And like the last time we tried putting the lodging tax through, I had neighbors going, we're not gonna pay that. And it's like, somehow someone told them that it was going to increase their property tax. And it's like, no. And senior, God rest his soul, that lived over near me. He said, what do we need to pay that for? And I said, are you gonna go spend the night at an Airbnb here in town or a motel? Well, no. I said, then you're not gonna pay it. This is only for people. Well, we don't even have one. I said, we don't have one right now. But 6 months from now, a year from now, maybe somebody opens up an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And then when somebody comes and stays, they're gonna pay that tax, not our citizens.
Did we vote that in for the Airbnb? Not yet. Okay,
Now, and they decline
yeah.
the lodging tax period. And I don't think they really understood
Right.
what it was about. As I said, someone had filled their head with it's our property taxes, and it's like, no, it has nothing, it's not going to affect you at all. Unless you're gonna go stay the night at an Airbnb or a motel within the town limits of Kiowa. That's the only way you're gonna be paying it. It's just there so that when, and I'm gonna say when, we eventually have one, it's already in place. Every city, town in the state of Colorado, I've gone up to Golden for conferences, and they charge like a 7%
Really?
lodging tax. And the hotels don't pay, I paid that on the room that I stayed in, so.
Is that just for the town and not the county? It's just for the town?
Yes, correct.
And usually in most situations, the lodging tax goes to like a tourism board, if you will.
Mhm.
So like when I stay at Fort Collins, there's a lodging tax, but it goes to Northern Colorado tourism. And so it all goes in a them trying to recruit events and people, to stay and spend money in that area. So that's usually how it works, for us, it worked for the same deal, and we could help push local events and
Right.
fund those better. And like you said, it has to be approved by the voters of Kiowa, but it really does not affect in a negative fashion the voting.
Right.
No,
Right,
Sales taxes in a sense the same thing.
yeah,
I mean, I got caught last week over the sales tax. And I'm like, all right, so what's your sales tax of Walmart in Elizabeth? I don't know, well, go look it up. What's your sales tax of Safeway at Elizabeth? You do 90% of your shopping outside of the city limits of Kiowa, but you're gonna worry about a 1%
Increase here.
here. That,
I'm pretty
So-
sure that Walmart also has an economic district that they've created around it, so you're paying county, you're paying state, you're paying the economic,
Yeah, the public.
Development.
the
improvement
natural
fee.
district,
Yeah.
yeah, so you have all of those taxes tacked on.
Like my daughter lives in Gold Creek, they're south of Elizabeth or south of Walmart in that subdivision. And if you buy a car, you are paying, I bought
Mega
the exact
taxes.
same car as her. And she's like, Mom, how come you? I'm like, cause I live in Kiowa and you live in
Yeah.
Elizabeth
She
by
titled-
Walmart.
the
Yes,
title of it wrong.
yeah.
Yeah, well, she didn't get out of it. She ended up paying this huge tax because of where she lives, her address.
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah, we're really behind on where our tax levels are at here.
Yes.
And even though it's just Kiowa, you know, 1.5% is,
Yeah.
it's so nominal compared
Yeah.
to what you're paying when you leave Kiowa.
Yeah.
And,
I think that public improvement fee, if I remember, is like 4 or 4.1%
It is,
over there.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you, I remember when the 1.5% went on the ballot and got passed. And it was close. It was just outside of the recount, like by 2 votes,
Oh, wow.
and that's how close it was.
Yeah.
But that was for 1.5%, and the board, I'm trying to remember who all was there, but I remember the discussion. That they're like, well, we could go up to 3, and they're like, we know it won't pass at 3, so maybe if we got a 1.5 now,
Right.
and then in 3 years we could come back and,
Yeah.
and it's never happened, but I mean, we're, in a sense, we're spoiled, but
Well, and the other thing people need to understand. They know it costs us more to go grocery shopping now than what it did a year ago. Everything's going up. All the supplies we buy, the repairs for potholes, all that stuff has gone up. Well, our income to pay for that hasn't gone up.
Right.
So, and I get complaints all the time how Kiowa Bennett has potholes all over it. And you know, you drive down it, the car's shaking and it's like. My canned response wants to be to them, but I always bite my tongue. If you'd give us a little extra money, we might be able to fix those potholes better.
well, the last time. I looked at Kiowa Bennett Road, and this has been 40, this is when they did the concrete slab,
Mhm.
but I had a guy. That was a paving contractor to look at that and figure out what it'd be to Rotomilk, Kiowa Bennett Road. And relay. And. 700,000.
Oh, yeah. Well, just that concrete area we did was 60 grand.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that isn't big enough for nothing.
So.
So they just
and-
don't understand the cost of.
No.
That concrete lift was high tensile, it was built for Henderson.
Yeah,
We just have a choice, in order to do big ticket items like that, we rely on grant money, period.
Oh.
We just do not have general fund to fund projects of that magnitude.
okay, so that's all I have in my report.
I don't know when to say this, but I just wanna thank Scott Kellogg for letting everyone use his parking lot
Yes.
on Saturday. And that was awesome that he let the festival people
Mhm.
park there, so thanks to him. And hats off to Ted Campbell. He has like turned this place around and I'm so excited about what he's done in just the week or 2 that he's been here. And filling in potholes here in town with whatever he could find. And the street sweeper ran throughout the entire town last week. And he's just incredible. And
Well, it's
he's,
nice we have a full-time person. now
yes, yeah.
Doing it, yes.
And he knows. He knows so much.
He has so
because
much
He's so educated on. He just looks around and is like, I'm gonna do this, this and this, and I'm just like blown away by what a gift
Yeah.
he is.
He is,
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people have walked in town
And
hall.
just said, thank you.
Yeah,
Really?
Oh, yes.
Hey, do we have any other comments from the Board of Trustees?
I'll be meeting with the senior citizens tomorrow morning.
Okay,
See if you can find out what that final sell was on Evie's quilt.
Oh,
Was it really?
She,
it was 33,000, something like that.
north of 33,000. And when she got done, I think. At one point, there's four, I think she only ended up with like 4 quilts left.
4 to 6. I did talk to her, yeah.
Yeah.
We bought one. We bought our first one. My daughter.
Oh, they said they sold one for 10,000. That must be.
Wow.
That was not us.
Oh.
That was not us. I love my
No,
daughter,
it was-
but
Um,
not that much.
Not
and I have very much. So I am. This, some of the,
so we got there at 10:07 and half of them were gone.
real,
10:07. Somebody took their time getting there and they got there, I don't know. But like, I think they said 11:30 and there was nothing to pick from other than and
Evie
the four
said
that were
that,
left were the really high dollar ones.
Wow.
she said that, some people came and didn't pick up their quilt right away, like they kept shopping and they were in
Big
tears
mistake.
because, yeah.
There were people walking out with a pile of them in their arms with 7 to 8 high.
Yeah.
They
That
were
was
grabbing them
amazing.
and they took a picture of every single person.
Yeah,
that
With
is
every single quilt to
awesome.
make her a book.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the one my daughter got has, Evie wrote on the back, she put a tag on the back that said, this was one of my very first quilts I ever made. And she gave the date and such when she did it. And that's what drew more to it was,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got
We
there
like
about
this.
11. I got there at about 11 and she only had 27 quotes left
Yeah,
at that
it was
time.
crazy.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
They really
Jonathan,
were.
do you have anything to add to our discussion? Okay.
Nope.
Then let's move on.
Okay,
Josh, the floor is yours.
oh, it is Josh, sorry, Josh, I forget. we
You
have
were
a
gonna
third
skip
attorney
it,
now.
weren't you?
Sorry.
there?
You
Are
go,
we-
you're
are we
always
doing
on
this?
there, Josh. If
Okay.
you have nothing, you can just
Everybody.
say you have nothing.
Oh, I'm gonna save mine for later.
Okay, all right,
It's gonna be the board training,
Okay.
sounds good.
so
Okay,
sounds like, oh, we're already at the training.
now, Kim, it's
So,
your turn.
we had our Sursa 2024 loss audit in September. We passed it again this year. Scores were a little higher. Sasha and I did a little bit more due diligence in 2024 unbeknownst to us. That gave us extra credit points that put us over. So we passed with 101% in property and casualty and workers' comp 98%. So that was really good. Town park survey. Survey ended at the Fall Fest, this past Saturday. We ended up with 115 responses to that
That's
survey.
pretty good.
40% of it, was, residents. And then another large percent was kids. We had a large percentage of the kids. The teachers at the school made it a project, a classroom project. And worked through the survey with the kids as a class project. So we have about 30% feedback from kids on the
Nice.
survey. So I'll have more particulars about the specific comments and feedback because they were able to type in things they'd like to see, things they don't like now. In that survey, so I'll have more specific feedback comment next month, but that was the final numbers as of this morning. With that. Let's see. Main Street Board, they're still moving right along. Their work moving forward, at least next year is contingent on what their budget looks like for next year. So, one thing they're trying to do to get them off the ground and get the word out on what Main Street is, what their objective is they are planning a drive-in movie night on November 1st in the school's big parking lot. November 1st, for those of you that know what the holiday is, it corresponds with Dios de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead. And Disney has a movie named Coco that corresponds with that holiday. So it's in the high school parking lot. They're looking at charging $10 per car. and $5 for a snack pack. So we're still in the planning stages of that and haven't created the flyers yet, but you know, looking ahead, try to
Are they
mark the
gonna have
calendar out.
popcorn?
Popcorn and a drink.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
What time?
Look at 6:30.
What about walk-in traffic? Do they have?
They are going to do some seating up front of the cars, because the school is really excited about this and they're gonna get the kids involved in it. And hopefully get them to help, with collecting the money, getting, some of the parking done. However, I did recommend that they do the sheriff's posse. I think
Yes.
they would be more effective in making sure the parking,
Yeah.
we really don't want any casualties
right.
of it, so, I told them I'd give a call to the sheriff's posse, but they're gonna try to get the kids involved in a lot of it as well.
Very good.
That's awesome.
Let's see. Mavericks versus Town of Kiowa and Kim Boyd as an individual. That work on that case has been at a stall since July. Mavericks' attorney quit responding to court and to our attorney for whatever reason, nobody knows. However, our attorney just got word that they have hired new counsel and work is back on track. So they are working together toward an effective case management agreement so they can get a good momentum going again, and we can get this resolved. So that's kind of where we're at with that. We're back on track with that. Let's see. That's all I have for myself. Public Works, as Mona already said, Teddy came in and got right to work. The first week he was here, I don't know how many people walked in here and told Sasha, oh my gosh, I don't know who that guy is, but he's amazing.
Yeah.
They had just called Sasha that morning to report potholes, and 3 hours later, Teddy had them filled without Sasha even telling him there was holes there.
Yeah.
So,
And the lady comes, she goes, wow, you are so fast.
yeah,
And I was like, well, thank you.
yeah, so
I had like a sticky note, like when Teddy comes in, tell him he'd
Yeah.
already seen him and fixed
so he
it.
got all, the majority, if not all the potholes filled, last week. And he is, utilizing that big pile of, what is it called?
Recycle.
Yes,
Recycled asphalt over there. He's
Uh-huh.
got it all broke apart and he's using that, so we haven't had to
And
purchase.
Andy,
Great.
took the Kubota down by the store and
Yeah,
made drainage.
Yeah,
better.
he did say he
did.
was going through the
he
alley.
identifies issues as he goes
Yeah,
along.
He just sees them.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he got the street sweeper fixed, cause it was, we had a problem with the, wasn't picking up, and he was like, oh, all right, and he got in there and got it fixed.
Well, and he's got a little list of resources available to him through all the work he's done over the years out here. The street sweeper, we found the reason it was not being effective prior is because the brush wasn't long enough. It had worn down far enough, it wasn't touching the road appropriately, so it wasn't picking anything up. So he was able to identify that, and some other issues that were keeping it from starting all this time. He, has gotten all the vehicles maintenance caught up and the, plows are now ready for winter. So if it snowed today, Teddy's ready to go to work.
It's awesome.
So that's that.
You know what the other advantage is?
What?
He knows about
86.
the ice issues
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
before it even happened.
Yes, he
Yeah.
does. Code enforcement, you'll have their report on next month's meeting agenda for the third quarter.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
Okay. Consent items. Approval of minutes from September 9th. Monthly meeting.
I need to reflect on the record, we need a revision to those minutes. I incorrectly stated in there that you read a statement reflective of the September meeting public comment, and it should have been August.
Okay,
So I need that corrected. And
okay.
Motion to approve with
The amendment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Jonathan gave a second.
I'm counting him.
Yeah.
Does he need to say that out loud, or is a thumbs up on Zoom? Okay.
Well, he gave it too.
Oh, I didn't hear him.
Oh, no. Just flashed it too.
Okay.
flash and dates.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Expenditures year-to-date 2025. Everybody take a look at them. And do we have any questions? It's not back here on the computer. I knew where I was at on it.
There's nothing that was
No,
extraordinary
nothing.
this year, I mean, this month.
Nothing stood out to me, so.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now the fun part. I don't have to be in charge. We're gonna put Josh in charge.
All right, so we have a PowerPoint. How does that work for y'all?
I'm gonna pull it up.
For me, I guess. Very fancy PowerPoint, so.
No.
Pretty good.
I'm gonna have to find my other glasses.
What's that?
We can't see it.
Really?
You're gonna have to
Yeah, I was like, what?
share
Uh,
the screen or whatever.
Weird. So,
That is weird.
they're plugged into mine, but it won't share to the Zoom call. All right, well, while that's happening. So over the next couple meetings, I'll be doing some quick training topics with y'all, probably gonna be a refresher for some of you. It's not meant to necessarily go into a whole lot of details, but more or less touch on the bigger topic issues. So for example, today, we'll go over basically an overview of the town structure, what constitute board actions, the Colorado's open meeting law, Colorado Open Record Act, as well as parliamentary procedure basics. Next month, we'll talk about the code of ethics and conflicts of interest, governmental immunity, and public officer liability. So kind of lumping into different areas, just generally what applies to the town, what applies to you as the board of the town. And there'll probably be just a few trainings in the beginning.
Okay. maybe
Sometimes
that
these
kind of-
trainings with other clients, you know, they've done it all in one go and it's like 2 hours of just sitting there. And I don't always think that that's the most beneficial, especially when you're getting this late.
Yes,
So I'd like to break it up into multiple meetings and just cover maybe like a 20-minute presentation. And then open it up for y'all to ask questions. I might not have the exact answer for you at that moment, but it'd be something that I would be able to research and come back and let you know the next time. So just so you know.
Still got the desert.
Which we didn't have before, now we do.
And then sharing options.
did you guys break it?
I didn't touch it. You have to like drag and drop it.
Oh, I've never had this happen.
Usually we just hit share and it just.
Oh, it's
Shares.
showing screen two, I don't want screen two. Do we have a screen two?
Okay, well, maybe try, now that you've got that one, maybe try that.
Did you accidentally split the screen?
Uh-oh.
No.
No,
What the heck?
Can you hear me?
yes,
It pops up on my screen and then it goes away. So,
Presentation does?
yep, I can see it and then I start reading it and then you take it away from me.
Okay, I'm gonna do it again. I need you to tell me if you see it.
Yep,
So we're all gonna be.
it's about to come up. There it is. I can see it now.
So you can see it on your side.
That's right.
just no one here can see it.
Show off.
Okay, so it's showing up there.
Like, come in over here somewhere.
Uh-huh, yep,
They're seeing it on themselves.
they can see it, so.
But they can't.
It can plug in right there, session. Okay, never mind.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Oh,
I
now it's
stopped.
gone. It's
I
gone
know.
now.
I
Okay.
know.
Go on here too, we're looking at rocks,
I know.
looks like.
I don't know why this is happening, you guys.
The bee shoot.
Yeah, I know, we never
It
had
has
that
no
problem.
grass.
It's so weird.
This has never happened.
You've talked.
Josh, I'm not real sure. I'm not technical, I'm not an IT person and this has never happened, so I don't know what to say.
Do you want to email it to us?
I'm gonna try something on yours real quick, if that's okay, Kim.
What are you gonna try?
Okay, so I'm gonna try.
I can't get it to share on Zoom.
I'm sorry, I gotta get out of here, I got squished back there.
It's gonna roll it. Inspires me to rehearse, right?
You just made Kim happy.
Guess she got to get up.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, usually we don't have any problem, we hit share and
yeah.
it goes, so.
Well, hopefully we can get everybody out of here, out of here. Don't leave me like that. Do you know what time she went home last night? Cause I was awake.
Oh,
There.
Oh,
Okay.
Josh now runs the meetings.
But don't get too excited yet.
I can't see it. I can't see it on my side.
how about now? Can you
Nope.
hear me now?
That's weird. It is bouncing between.
Yeah. Not sure why.
I can see it above your head, Josh. I can see it
That's
above
what I
your.
was trying to get to and just say, well, if you're online, you'll have to look at it. But it is splitting over and I don't know why. All right, well, we'll see. We'll just do it as a basic one. So, sorry if you are on Zoom. It's the best I'm gonna be able to do. So the topics that we're gonna go over, as I mentioned, are the overview of the town structure. Board actions that you can take, such as the motions, resolutions, ordinances, and a little bit of the differences between those. The Colorado Open Meetings Law, or OML. Public meetings and executive sessions, what those are. Parliamentary procedure basics, and then we'll go over the Open Records Act. And again, this is a really high level overview. If you have a question about something specific at the end, let me know, okay? So overview of the town structure, statutory versus town, or versus home rule. Statutory towns are towns that basically have their authority underneath the statutes of Colorado's General Assembly, the state. Home rule towns and municipalities get their authority and power for governing from their charter. So their charter is basically like your constitution. You're a home rule town. So your home rule charter is actually what's going to control what kind of authority the town has, what kind of authority the town board has, And everything that happens after that, such as the ordinances that you pass, have to be in line with the charter. Home rule authority can even go so far as to not really preempt state statute, but to say, hey, even though you have a statute that you've passed that looks like it could impact how we do our local government, it's not going to, because our charter gives us the authority to make a different law. And that's pretty much gonna be applicable to land use decisions. However, if anything has been specifically determined to be preempted, so if the Colorado Supreme Court has a case that comes in front of them, they look at state statute, state constitution, they'll determine whether or not preemption can occur. And most of the time, they'll usually say that, yes, the state's laws do preempt even home rule authority on things that are going to be of state concern or even a mixed concern between what we call local and state matters. But the best thing that we can really look at is, or the best way to really think about this is, if there is not a state statute giving a statutory town the authority to do something, then they can't do it. Home rule, you already have the authority as a home rule. To change your charter, you have to go to the vote of the people, which I believe that you all have heard about that one. You are set up as a home rule town and you are board administrator or board of trustees and administrator, which means that you as the board are enacting policies, making legislative decisions, and you're also going to be making decisions on certain quasi judicial applications. The administrator is going to be in charge of administering the policies, legislation that you pass as the board. So it's going to be, Kim's going to be very much involved in doing the day-to-day running of the business, and you all do not. Now, there are some setups where the mayor actually is usually more involved on an administrative standpoint. And they kind of act as the town administrator, but you don't have that setup here. So y'all are separated that way. Your town administrator's role, as we were saying, is gonna be responsible for enacting policies and basically enforcing what y'all have in place as your ordinances and codes and other policies. The town attorney role is really a form of interpretation and letting y'all know, hey, don't go there because that's gonna get you in trouble. It's the easiest way to put it, as well as obviously taking direction from the board whenever y'all ask me to do any kind of legal review of an opinion, such as the annexation or disconnection question that came up tonight. On top of that, I also would provide updates to you whenever the state General Assembly passes a law that's signed into life by the governor that says, hey, by next year, all towns have to have some kind of plan or have to enact some ordinance, that deals with whatever it's going to be related to from a legal standpoint. Then our office, or me, myself, will be letting you all know that as well, so that way we can get an ordinance and get a law in place that addresses what the state has basically said we need to. Now, that sounds like that's a issue with the home rule, but again, there's a lot of laws that the state passes that do not relate to home rule or they preempt home rule. So just keep that in mind.
So, for example, I'm curious. I can't. Forgive me, because I can't remember the specifics how the governor signed it. But it was directed at government buildings and their restrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's why we changed these out here, Trevor.
as a home rule,
So now, that is one of those weird areas where the preemption does occur because it's not really a land use, it's a building code. And building codes are preempted. So the state has an interest in that the people of the public can move from city to city, town to town, and basically be able to have the same building codes, safety, all that kind of stuff. So Colorado Supreme Court has basically said when it comes to like those kind of building energy use codes like that, those are preempting. Whether or not you use land for commercial or residential, or how you're zoning land is more of where you as a town have more authority to enact laws that say, we don't care if there's a state code that says we have to have a zoning ordinance that allows for high density off our main strip, meaning that you have to be able to allow apartments to be built. As a home rule, you would say, no, even though there's that law from the state standpoint, we are enacting a zoning ordinance that only allows commercial or residential. And the state law wouldn't preempt your control from a zoning standpoint. So zoning is different than our building codes, yeah. But I mean, in line, you're thinking about it. All right, so board actions. Actions are always taken as a group. Individuals do not have authority except what the group agrees to give. So for example, if you were to create a committee in order for a committee to make a decision on a issue that was before the board, then the board would act to approve that committee or the individual to take an action on behalf of the board. But you're really acting as a board and taking actions as the board. The majority rules, but minority voices are always meant to be heard, which is part of the discussion deliberation that you should be having when it comes to any actions that you're going to be taking. Motions are how you can take action. And it's a little weird because a motion is used to take action on ordinances and on resolutions, but motions in and of themselves can also be the action in and of itself. For example, if you were to move to direct me to do something, you wouldn't necessarily have to have a resolution that's directing me to do it. Just the motion, you voting on it, and you all approving that motion would be an action you're taking that's telling me to do something. They're verbal, as you all know. And they can be substantive or procedural. So it can be I move to appoint Josh to, or I move to instruct Josh to do whatever. Or it could be a procedural motion is usually more in line with if you all are not sure of what question is before you, you could do a motion for point of order or clarification of the question. So it's just more of a procedural type motion. You're asking for us to clarify what's happening procedurally. Resolutions, they're like the motions, but they're in writing. Sometimes they're required, but not often. They are more discretionary, but they're very useful for us to keep a record of your factual findings and the basis for the action that you are telling someone to do or that you are taking. So if they're, for example, using the motion that we did with me, if we had a resolution where you were actually, that's not the best example, because resolutions are typically used for approval of contracts or approval of documents. And you're really just creating that history showing that the action has been taken. So that way in the future, we can see what y'all have decided or what y'all have done.
Like when we hired you.
What was that part? Yeah, yep, exactly. So there is a resolution that has the findings, it has y'all's action, and then there's an actual agreement that was attached to it. Now there's a signed agreement in the back office. And if someone was like, well, did the mayor have the authority to sign this contract? Well, we have a resolution that shows that. We don't have just a verbal motion that we have to go find through the minutes. Ordinances are your most formal action. They are what are used to create the law of the town. They're used to do some really formal actions, like if you want to do ballot issues where you're saying we want to have a certain question put on the election for the year, you do that by ordinance. And also only ordinances can repeal other ordinances. So resolutions can never repeal resolutions. I'm sorry, resolutions can never repeal ordinances, motions can never repeal ordinances, only ordinances can change or affect prior ordinances. Let's see. Some and most of your ordinances will become, or a lot of them become, part of your code, your official code of the town. That is basically what's supposed to be the document of your laws that everyone in the town can come and see or view and know how it applies to them from a law legal standpoint. Not all ordinances are laws, though. Okay, Colorado Open Meetings Law. Meetings of the town board, and all formally constituted town boards, committees, and commissions must be held in the public. Rule applies to decision-making and advisory boards. So it applies to any board that's giving you all recommendations, or committee or commission, such as a planning commission, even though they might not be making a formal decision or a final decision. They, as a recommending body, meaning that they're making a formal decision on their recommendation to y'all on how you might handle any kind of plan review or application. They're still a recommending body, so the open meetings law applies to them as well as it does to y'all. So what is a meeting? Meeting is any kind of gathering convened to discuss public business. In person, by telephone, by other means of communication. We used to joke and say smoke signals, but I guess it really does apply if you all know how to read them. Meaning that if you all are discussing public business, it's a meeting if there are 3 or more. Now, state law says 3 or more, not just quorum. So a quorum for you is 4, meaning that you really can't take official business action unless there are 4 of you to meet the quorum needs. But state law goes even further and says, if there are 3 of you together talking about state or about town business, then the open meetings law of Colorado would be applicable, which is why we always say 2 of you can do something together, but if you're gonna have 3, we need to meet the notice requirements, letting the public know that 3 of you are gonna be together and you will be discussing public business of the town.
So that's like I brought up earlier about the mayor's coffee, with just the 2 of us being there.
Yeah,
Right.
so if it's just 2 of you there, then you're not meeting, but you're also not meeting the requirements of 3 or more.
Right.
Wanted to point out, Mayor, that when you were describing the process to discuss that, you mentioned 3 names. The mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and the town administrator. Those 3.
That, John, was we were planning it. Kim wouldn't be involved, it would be myself and.
And to clarify,
Mhm.
Kim is not on the board. She's
True.
not a board of trustee member, neither
True.
am I. So it really only applies to board of trustee members, because
Gotcha.
you are the acting body. It is y'all together that create policy and legislation for the town. So it applies, if 2 of you and a planning commissioner were together, that doesn't constitute a meeting because y'all are separate, different boards. Shouldn't be talking about public business anyways, except for an open, just because it's the best practice.
Right.
But from an OML standpoint or COML standpoint, it would be 3 of you on this body if you got
Okay.
together, alright?
Okay.
Fancy encounters, social gatherings, they do not count. I had a lot of people, especially with my smaller town clients, are like, wait a minute. It's not uncommon for 3 of us to just be in the grocery store around each other, that's fine. You know, like, be cognizant of what you are talking about. You shouldn't be talking about anything that is town official business or matters. But if you're talking about the kids, if you're talking about your kids and how well they're doing, not necessarily the kids of the town who are all voting for, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right,
just keep it personal.
yeah.
Hellos are all great, coffee shops are okay. Um. Electronic communication, email. That was a really big one back in the day. If you have emails that have more than two of you on that email correspondence, then it's technically a meeting. Social media. That's a fun one these days. If you have Facebook pages and y'all are all friends and y'all are posting on one page, that's a meeting. If you are corresponding in any form, this is why I say smoke signals, because it's a form of correspondence. And it's between three of you, you are meeting the meeting laws. And that means that you are then subject to all of the restrictions when it comes to notice, agenda items, making that information public, taking minutes of everything that you're talking about. And if you don't follow those, then you can open up yourself and the town to liability, to lawsuits, and also to attorney's fees on the other side, plus the towns, so both. Again, it's three or more and public business discussed, which is public excuse me. Public business discussed is what helps with this chance counter exemption. Open meetings must be open to the public and must be posted. We have what we call the safe harbor, which is as long as the agenda and the notice that the meeting is going to occur is posted 24 hours in advance in accordance with your posting requirements of the town, then you're meeting the OML requirements. That doesn't mean that there can't be something that's more restrictive in your code or your charter. So we always have to look to that too. This is just about the OML. All right, which applies.
What was? Is this the Douglas County School Board where they got in trouble?
Which,
But on open meetings, but it was kind of like almost like a game of telephone,
Yeah.
if you will.
yeah, I was like, is it that one? So you bring a very good point. Oh, what is the S word? It's serial meetings, which is basically the telephone concept of where if Mayor Pro Tem were to talk about an issue and Mayor Pro Tem was like, well, I wonder what Trustee Stahl thinks. And so Mayor then turns and talks to Trustee Stahl, even if it's separate next day, whatever. Trustee Stahl and Mayor talk about it. Mayor tells Trustee Stahl what Mayor Pro Tem has said or felt. Mayor or Trustee Stahl says, well, this is what I think. And I've also talked to Trustee Shantz. Trustee Shantz thinks this. Mayor then turns and goes back to Mayor Pro Tem outside of a meeting. So what's happening there is really y'all are discussing public business only two at a time, but y'all are talking about what other people on the board feel, think, and say about public issue. That discussion should be happening at your meeting, and yes, it can be a violation of the open meeting law. Yeah, so try to avoid doing that. Conducted public meetings, so work study sessions. Work study sessions are still meetings, we still notice them. We still talk about public business or business of the town. But we're not gonna be taking any kind of official action or looking for any formal decision of the board. We typically will be providing you information on something that has occurred from a legal standpoint or a new law from the state. Or just this in a way is actually kind of a study session where we're giving you education about how things work. But within study sessions, sometimes we can ask for direction from the board on how they would like for staff to proceed with handling a certain issue. But then staff will go and actually gather the information from the direction of the board, kind of like we did a little bit ago, where you all said, yeah, go ahead and get us an opinion on that, Josh. I'll bring that back to the board and the board will be able to determine how it wants to actually take a formal action. And you'll discuss it at that meeting when that information comes back to you. So that's a little bit of the differences between what happens during work sessions, study sessions versus in our official meetings, regular meetings for board business, town business. But there's still meetings. There's still 3 of you together or more talking about town business. So we still do all of the CML. I'm tired too, Kim.
Yeah, no time for me struggle.
We still do the CML, COML requirements, except for we don't have to take minutes. So that's one thing.
No recordings.
We don't have to, but we typically always do, just because people like to hear us talk. Y'all talk, you know, everyone, anyways. Executive sessions, you might also hear it as a executive privilege. I typically think of it more as an exemption from the OML. But in order for an executive session exemption to apply, there are very specific steps and very specific language that you have to use in a motion during your actual meeting to be able to get into an executive session. We always encourage town administrator, town board to work closely with our office on preparing those in advance. And if it is something that's like a last minute come up, then we usually go into a recess to allow us, or me, to really prepare the specific language to then provide to whoever ends up making the motion. And then 2/3 of you that are present have to actually approve to go into executive session. There are very limited reasons you can go into executive session. They are outlined in the Colorado statutes. The most typical ones are whenever there is a legal question that I'm providing specific legal advice to in response. And then also if there are negotiations of an ongoing deal and you're going to talk about basically how you're going to direct the negotiators to handle any kind of negotiations going forward. Usually can involve like plan reviews or development and stuff like that. Yeah.
Like land use stuff.
Yeah, and then real estate's its own, so if there's an interest in real property, buy or sale, then you can usually go into an executive session. The idea there is really the town is an entity. And it shouldn't have to damage itself to talk about what other businesses would want to keep quiet, such as negotiation, you know, or if the town wants to show interest in a piece of property, it might want to keep that quiet so it doesn't have any kind of impact on the actual, you know, fair market value of that property. So there are certain small reasons that the state of Colorado has said, you as the board can go into an executive session to talk about it. But no formal action can occur in that session. You still have to come back out. And if you want formal action to occur, you still have to discuss it in the public. You have to talk about it, you have to debate it, you have to then approve it and actually give direction in the public meeting. The executive session is just to allow y'all to really get that knowledge and the different types of legal advice that we can provide without that just becoming known to everyone.
Okay.
Um,
I've got a question on that.
okay.
Hypothetically, we need to renew Kim's contract. Can we go into executive session as a board to be able to discuss the pros and cons of renewing her contract? Then come out of executive session and make a vote on it. Is that legal or no?
Your personnel, because personnel issues are not dealt with in public meeting, right?
Yeah, so.
Or is that's the
you-
issue?
I was gonna say,
Right.
so
Is that a
personnel matters. It really depends. We'd have to be very specific on your motion. So if it's about negotiating the contract,
Mhm.
and you're wanting to basically go into the executive session to talk about the provisions of her contract and the town negotiating with Kim for her contract position going forward. And then that would fall underneath an exception.
Okay,
If you're going in to talk about personnel matters, which could be, you
If it
know,
was a
good or bad.
Let's say it's a performance review,
So
but then
that would be one thing you can do, but there's still some very specific actions you have to take, such as Kim has to have notice that that's what the meeting is going to be about. You know, typically they have to have the ability to, you know, provide any kind of response. So it really comes details or fact specific. And one thing that occurs during the executive session is everyone's supposed to be monitoring the communication to make sure you don't stray off topic or go into issues that otherwise would need to be in the public.
gotcha.
So.
Okay.
It really kind of depends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second scenario in that. Is there any given time, any way that all of us can sit down as a board and discuss maybe our personal thoughts on certain issues that have come up without it being in public? Because maybe I wanna fuss at Tammy and say, you know, Tammy, you messed this whole thing up. And Trevor wants to argue with me that, no, she didn't, or we can just talk. And not have the public. Does that make sense?
Well, I hear what you're asking.
parents fighting in the bedroom.
Yeah, right, there you go.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's a really tricky area right there, because it's so easy to end up slipping into. So if you're talking about your personal feelings about how someone voted
Mhm.
on an action. And you wanna talk about with that person, and then Trevor comes in, y'all are talking about that, and it's all about your personal feelings. Arguably, you could say that that is not an OML issue. Cause you're not discussing town business that's pending. There's already been a vote, there's already been an action that's taken.
Mhm.
However, it's very easy to slip from those types of facts.
Okay.
To where you do start discussing town business, even though you're not meaning to, which is why we always advise against doing that.
Okay.
Meaning we advise against the three of you getting together to talk about those personal types of things.
Okay.
Cause it's just too easy to flip in. And also from a public view looking in, they don't know what you're talking about necessarily.
Mhm.
You know, if the three of you are sitting in your car in the parking lot, talking about how you feel personally about something
Mhm.
on an action that's already taken, no one in the public knows what you're talking about. All they see is three board members sitting in a closed car talking.
Right.
So that in and of itself creates a scenario where from an optics, we wouldn't advise for you to do that either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
We just had some things come up in the past where I thought if all of us could just sit down and talk about things, then we would be
can talk about your families.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I understand, yeah, I understand that, it's just, again, one of those things that our recommendation is to not put yourself into a position where from the optics, it's going to
Sure.
look like something to the
Okay.
public. And two, put yourself into a position that's a slippery slope that allows for those discussions to start occurring easily.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
of course,
That's the best clarification. Our other attorney could not clarify that very well for me, so
yeah,
that's why I'm bringing it up again.
I'm happy to help. Let's see, so. Again, I think of it as an exception to the public meeting requirement, not a privilege. It's not like a right y'all get to exercise, and it's not an attorney-client privileged communication. It's more of a, the OML open meetings requirements, meaning that everything that's a meeting has to be made available to the public, do not apply. So it's an exemption from it. It's how I think of it. And we do not have any case law that tells us one way or another. Specific motion is used to go in, must be made properly at a notice meeting. There is not an emergency executive session, basically, so that is something we know from case law, meaning if something happens tomorrow and Mayor, you're like, this is something we need to really talk about in an executive session immediately, I wanna call one. There's not anything in state law that allows for that executive session to happen outside of an actual meeting being called. Doesn't mean you can't call a special meeting. Give notice of a special meeting and then hold the executive session during that special meeting. It just means you can't simply convene into an executive session and treat it as an executive session if you're outside a meeting. What does it mean if you fail to follow the executive session procedures? It means you didn't have one. It was really a public meeting. And anything and everything you talked about in that meeting, which is recorded, is then made available to the public. So that's what happens if you don't go into it correctly. So yeah, get advice from us before y'all go into one. So that way we can help you go into it correctly. And really figure out those fact patterns that will support going into one underneath the law.
Question
Yes, sir.
on public meetings. So we conclude our meeting here in a little bit. We don't approve the minutes of this meeting till next month.
Yes.
But if somebody walked into our office on Monday or even tomorrow morning and requested a audio recording, are they granted that, or are they granted that once when that meeting, because that's your official transcription of the meeting? Can they have that right away, or is it not till it's approved, by the minutes of the meetings approved by us?
So I'm assuming you're talking about a Cora request, an Open Records Act request?
Yeah.
I mean, if they walked into your office, trustee Smith, and asked you for the recording, I don't think it would apply, right? You mean like if someone was to come to the
I
town?
mean, if they,
Okay,
yeah, if they walked in, no.
So your official minutes would be what you approve at your next meeting. I don't know what your policy is when it comes to posting of the videos.
We posted the next day.
So it's the next day. So I mean, honestly, you don't even have to make a request. It's already on YouTube.
Yeah, we posted
Yeah.
on YouTube and on our Civic Plus platform.
And in the
Yeah.
past, when it has come in the next day, we give it 10 minutes.
Yeah, we've just.
Nothing about that is going to change. The only difference is with minutes is,
With the official approved minutes
Right.
of the meeting.
Yep.
Those don't occur until your next meeting at which you would approve them. So if someone was to make a core request for the official minutes of this meeting tomorrow, then we would be talking and we would be saying, well, there aren't any because you haven't officially approved them.
as a board.
Come back a month from now or following our next meeting. And in that case, also, those minutes, just like this packet, are made part of the online records, so people can get them and see them anyways. So they become available then, yeah. So executive sessions, again, no action can be taken in executive session, except for you can give direction to negotiators. Discussions should be kept confidential. Really, if you go into executive session and then you come out and you start talking to the public about what you talked about in executive session, you have now ruined the whole purpose of executive session. Most towns, municipalities have rules of procedure in place, or rules that deal with some repercussions of that from a board/member standpoint. There's not necessarily really like a state statute law that has penalties for individual members if they do. But you're not supposed to, so don't. So. Compliance and proper, yep. So if there's an improper executive session, yeah, there's an injunction against any kind of action. That really means is that if y'all take action while you're in executive session, then someone might, go to the court and ask for an injunction against that action that you've approved because y'all did it improperly during an executive session. And if they do that, then that can and will result in legal fees if they are found to be correct and that improper action was taken. Again, communicating with our office, communicating with me, is what will help us avoid those types of mistakes. And it's more of a strict liability type of issue, meaning it's not really what your intent is. It's more or less, did it happen or did it not? If you're going 10 miles over the speed limit, whether or not you intend to be is not really the question. Conduct of public meetings, so your quorum, again, you have to have your quorum to actually be able to take any kind of formal action or to hold your formal meeting. Once you have a quorum, it's typically gonna be the majority of the members present have to vote to approve, so 3 of 4 could approve an action. You don't have to have 4 of 7.
4 of 7.
Yeah, 4 of 7. But you do have to have 4 people to have that quorum. There are some areas that are very specific when it comes to actions of the board that will require a majority of all members, which would be your 4 of 7, regardless of how many people are present. So, but when that occurs, we let you know. You have to have the quorum to adopt policy and take formal action. If no quorum, then the meeting is going to be continued to a date and time in the future. Sometimes it can be to the next meeting. It just depends on what's on the agenda, whether or not there's public hearing requirements from a land use application, or if it's really just policy related. So, but if that occurs, you know what happens. Context, so parliamentary procedure basics. You as the town board, my understanding is that y'all have adopted the Bob's Rules of Procedure from a parliamentary standpoint, which really means that those are going to control if you have specific policies and rules of procedure that you have adopted that conflict with Bob's, then those control. But Bob's is really more of a fail-safe. So if you don't have anything you've adopted, or if you've adopted rules, but they don't talk about something specific. And the question arises on how do you handle it procedurally, then you would turn to Bob's Rules of Procedure. But these are the very basics that are pretty common. I haven't necessarily looked or found y'all's, oh, your screen touch. Okay, don't touch the screen. Moved on me. So mayor is the presiding officer of the town board meetings. Members should really be addressing the mayor and refer to each other by title through the mayor. So if you're talking to each other on official actions or official information, you really should be looking to the mayor to talk to other people, looking to the mayor to make motions. Why? It's not because she is controlling or intends to be controlling. I know you're like, I didn't choose these rules. It's for clarity of record. It's to make sure that everyone understands what is occurring, not just y'all, but the public as well. Because when you start having a lot of discussion, debate, that's just kind of free flowing, it can really leave people lost on what the position of the board overall is. Especially whenever we're talking about motions. So motions really should be made upon request to the mayor. Like if you have an action item that's before you, and the mayor says, do I have a motion? Then someone can say, mayor, I have a motion to blah, blah, blah. You're addressing the motion to the mayor. The mayor would then, bring it forward to everyone for a vote or discussion, really. Really no member of the group is supposed to really be speaking until they're recognized by the mayor. one thing that I really try to be cognizant of is not being a stickler for procedures, but yet being a stickler for clarity. If something's occurring and we're all left unclear, then we need to clean it up and you need to start following procedures that provide that clarity. However, if someone does end up talking without getting permission from the mayor first, I'm not here to bang a gavel and say out of turn or point of order. You know, I'm not gonna throw out the POO.
But sometimes that needs to be done.
Sometimes
Because
it
we
does
get
for
carried
clarity.
away and I'll be talking and Cammy or something and you're losing track.
Yeah, or you're falling into a discussion.
Exactly, yes.
On an item that's not an action item and it should really be reserved.
Right.
Yeah. That's usually when I start doing this. Cause I don't like to be like, stop talking, yeah. So if a motion is made, that person usually has the right to speak first on that motion if they want to, if there's gonna be debate. They can argue against, well, they're not really supposed to argue against it. You can vote against your own motion if you want to, so you could technically move to approve something. You're not really supposed to make an argument against that, that's what this says, right? Make sure I'm not, I mean, it's typical though. But yeah, you can go against it. Although I've definitely seen where people have made a motion and then argued against it, it's just not very clean, you know, so. Also on debates, you really should allow everyone to have a say before you are repeating your argument more than once. And even if that means that, you know, if I was to, I'm not on the board, I'm just using myself because I don't want to pick on anyone. But if I was on the board and I made a motion and then I argued for it. And then it goes around and no one else makes any kind of other debate or argument, I could then continue to make an argument if I wanted to, if I didn't think that y'all were gonna agree with me. But I should at least wait until everyone has an option and chance to speak to that motion. Speakers should always yield the floor to the mayor, so that also goes into the clarity. So if there is a lot of talk and chatter that's starting to happen, the mayor should be able to say, you know, call order, point of order, and everyone should stop talking at that point. And listen to what the mayor has to say, or bring us back into cohesion and a well-functioning meeting. Don't get it.
Can you give an example of how to address the mayor?
Mayor,
Okay.
Your Honor.
Mayor,
Hand up.
Mayor.
yeah, Mayor Howard, yeah, Mayor Howard.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I haven't sat in governmental boards before, but I've been chairman of a board of 32 people. And the best way to be able to keep things on track is when you've got something to say, put the hand up.
Okay.
And I'm sure you've noticed before, when we've had public comment, we've got 50 million people with their hands up. I will look at them and point so that they know I've got them and I'll talk to them next. So we just need to try and keep some order with it,
Yeah.
so that everybody knows we're clear and everybody out there is clear
So
what we're doing.
are you going to call on everyone that has their hand up? I mean, if.
On this board, yes, I would,
No, in the room.
not
No.
necessarily,
Okay.
So that's part of the order too, and that's what I've been trying to get us back to is.
yes,
There's a section for public comment.
yes,
And that's when the public can come in, stand at the podium, give comment for 3 minutes. At that point, once public comment's done, we declare public comment done, then it's your work time as a board. And when you're working, it's not an interactive board meeting.
right,
It means you guys are working and the audience is sitting out here listening. If they have another comment, then we can have another public comment,
Yeah.
you know? But it's not an interactive meeting. We will be here till midnight,
mhm.
depending on what's on the agenda.
And part of that in the past has been my fault, because I'm, like Josh is saying, I'm not gonna bang my fist on the
Right.
desk. I try to give everybody an opportunity to speak. But it got out of hand,
Right.
and then you couldn't pull it back under control.
Yeah, and when you're sitting here at the table working and you're addressing her, asking questions, she's responding back. There should be nobody sitting out here interjecting their thoughts about what you two are discussing
Right,
during work.
right,
That's correct.
yes,
And I would clarify one thing, in that you have a public comment section of your agenda, which is basically public can stand up and make comments about pretty much anything. Except for if there's an agenda item that's a public hearing,
Correct.
then there's gonna be public comment that's very specific to that public hearing. And we'll talk a lot more about that during the training sessions on quasi judicial hearings, which include public hearings, as well as legislative action that require public hearings.
So do we need to notify the public at the meeting more so about the rules that?
we have been,
what
Yeah,
I
we
should
haven't
say.
had a huge, I didn't
Not
do it
lately,
tonight.
no, not
Mhm.
lately, but in the
Yeah.
past, there,
The
but
meeting
it did-
before last, I read the whole thing that's up there,
Yeah, after the,
Tim read it,
after the moratorium,
yes,
fiasco, we put the yellow paper, so it's
Yes.
easily seen on there. And those aren't new rules. Those are what have been in place forever.
well, I understand,
It's just
yeah,
getting back to them.
yeah,
and like I said, I didn't read it tonight because
no,
we only
right,
had the two people,
Yeah.
so, you know. I didn't feel I had to worry about it.
no, not at all.
Yeah, and from what I've seen on the agenda, and I was only here since last meeting, I mean, so I can't speak to anything that's happened prior, but it sounds like what happened prior has led you to be more vocal and upfront. I don't wanna say controlling, but basically saying these are the rules.
Yeah.
Public speaks during comment, here's the amount of time. If you're gonna talk about something that's gonna be on the agenda under a public hearing, hold your comment, wait until public hearing to give comment during the public comment section of the public hearing. That's a record standpoint, which we'll talk about and explain why that happens at another meeting. But generally, public hearings, especially on land use decisions, can be appealed to district courts or court of appeals. And whenever that appeal occurs, the court is going to look at what is on the record. We don't go in there and make arguments to the court. We don't bring in testimony. We basically take everything that has occurred from the moment the public hearing opened on that item to when the public hearing closed, which can happen anywhere inside this public meeting. We take that information, that documentation, that transcript, or recording, that all goes to the court, and that's what the court is going to review. So if you have a messy, hearing where people are just talking everywhere, the judge doesn't know who's saying what, they're not here, they can't tell. So we do have these very specific rules in place, especially with public hearings, in order to keep that clean record. So we always have proof of what actions the board is taking, what evidence they're relying on. But again, I'll go into more of the legalities of that at a later training date, which will probably be in December.
Another question on that. Is it appropriate for a board member after a public comment? You've closed public comment. You're gonna go back into the meeting. Is it appropriate for a board member to immediately make a motion on something that we haven't even addressed yet? It's later on the agenda.
Well, from what you're saying, I would say no, it's not appropriate at that point. Typically. Well, throw that at me again.
Okay, yeah, public comment. Public comment is over with.
Are we in a public hearing or is it just?
Public
general
comment.
comment? Okay,
Okay. Then you're going into, you go start on your agenda here, and a board member makes a motion. That is something that's gonna be addressed later on in the agenda.
Hmm.
Is it appropriate at that time to have that happen?
No, that's out of order. The agenda is set out and should and really must be followed based on its order.
Okay.
So if they're really choose different scenarios there, yours specifically said that the issue that they were making a motion on was on the agenda, but later on.
Yes,
That motion should be held until you get to that agenda item. So
Okay.
you gotta go through all the other agenda items first.
Okay.
And the other scenario that can occur is if an issue is not on the agenda. A lot of times, board members will want to move to amend the agenda
sure.
to
That would
add
make
that
sense.
on there
Okay.
as a business item.
Okay.
You have now run into the issue of OML and notice.
Mhm.
Because you haven't given at least 24 hours notice of this issue being something that you were gonna be discussing.
Gotcha.
Now, if it's a last minute thing, say it comes to your attention tonight that tomorrow X action is going to occur. And you need to make a decision tonight in order to take advantage, a beneficial advantage to the town, to grab a hold of that. It's not on your agenda tonight.
Mhm.
In this circumstance, it is one of these very rare exceptions to where you're really supposed to be posting notice of everything on your agenda that you know is gonna be on your agenda.
Okay.
So we could, underneath this very rare circumstance,
Right.
do a motion to amend the agenda to put that item on there, and then someone could have a motion that relates to that agenda item.
Okay.
And that would not be in line with what's on the agenda, because it wasn't on there to begin with. So there's those two different scenarios. If it's on the agenda, motions related to it should wait until that action item arises. Yeah.
Okay.
And that also goes to clarity of the proceedings as y'all go through your business. Cause if you have a motion on something that's way out of line, and not in order, it becomes very confusing in the minutes as well. And people also might not even appear until later, cause they've gone, oh, well, that's number 10 on the agenda item list. And it usually takes y'all at least 15 or 20 minutes to just get through the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't
Sure.
know.
Right.
So if you just skip everything and go right to discussion and motion, then they show up, well, they're gonna be upset and say,
Sure.
well, you've now gone outside your whole agenda. You know, so we really try to keep it in order.
Okay.
The last thing is if there is an issue that's on the agenda and someone needs to leave early, then you could do a motion to amend the agenda to move
Move
the
it up.
item up. And then once everyone approves that, you would then do a motion relating to the agenda item.
Okay.
Do y'all need flashcards?
We've done that, we've done that.
We have done
We
that.
have
Yeah.
done that.
Yes.
I
We
mean,
moved
so that's,
something up.
but you've moved it up first, and you all have
Right.
to approve moving it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Are we there?
So close. Open records. Open records aren't something that y'all have to really handle all that often. Really, it's gonna be the administrative side whenever administration receives an open records request. What's important for you? I forget, do they have town emails?
They do.
Oh, okay. I,
And iPads.
yeah, I was, I'm not gonna say who, but I was definitely in another meeting and I was talking about this and they all go, we don't have town email. And I was like, oh, okay, cause what I'm gonna tell you is open records requests is content based. It is a public business issue base. If you are using your personal email to communicate with anyone, especially on our side, about town business, you open your personal email up to
Right.
core requests, which means that how does this happen? If an email goes out where Kim is sending out the agenda, she sends it to all of your emails. And all of a sudden there's a automatic response from your work email. Well, that automatic response from your work email is a record that is able to be pulled. So if someone says, hey, I want all of your email communications, which means out and in on this issue, those are all provided. They're scanning through and they see this automatic response from your work email. They now know your work email is getting all these communications and they're gonna be looking for me and town staff to start reviewing through your personal emails to determine whether or not you have other work, town business communications. And I have definitely had a associate at my firm who has got to do that and said it's not very fun when you start to see communications about yourself being had between other people.
What about like text messages? Does that-
Text messages apply as well. Typically what we will do is we will say, same scenario can happen where someone says, hey, they don't even actually have to have proof that you've done any kind of communicating on your personal phone, text messaging from your number. They can just ask for it. And then we will ask you for it. And if you say, oh, yeah, I do have some text messages between, trustee Stahl and I about a business issue of the town, then we would have to work with you on getting copies of those text messages and provide them in the core response. So it's any document, it's any correspondence, it's any communication, it's anything and everything that relates to town business. In any kind of form is gonna be part of a core request that we would have to respond. So if you wanna avoid having your personal stuff exposed, do not use it to discuss town business. That's the biggest thing for y'all to keep in mind.
Yeah, I don't have time to go through your stuff. Don't creep it.
So
Yeah, you don't wanna pay me to do it.
it gets exciting if you submit a core request for communications between persons A and B
Hmm.
on all electronic devices.
Yes, it does.
Exciting is one word to put that.
But what Kim does, it goes to our personal cell phones. She will say, she's not discussing business,
Mhm.
but she'll say, check your emails, your packet is out.
Yep, that's
And it's a
fine.
mass text then.
That's fine.
And I
That's
don't
fine.
send them their emails anymore to all of them where they can respond back and have a conversation over anything. I send it to myself and they are all blind
Blind
coded
copy.
copied
Yeah.
on any communication.
That's
system.
what I do too.
Good.
BCC them.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what I do too with pretty much any time I'm gonna be sending out communications to all of you, and there's usually just a note on there that says all trustees and mayor are included on this. And I usually, if I'm sending it to the board, I send it to the mayor as my two. And then I can include as many people on staff as I want to, that's fine.
Right.
But I'm sending it to you, but that's not just a core issue, that's a COM, that's an OML issue.
Right.
Okay,
Because we want to avoid y'all replying all.
right.
But if communications are about core, Steve and I'm now having to step back and I'm like, I mean, if it is a text message and it's about the packet, it's about town business. I mean, I would just provide it truthfully. I would provide it because it falls into the whole concept. It's not an OML issue. You're not creating an OML meeting scenario. But we always lean towards OML is the open meetings law. It's Colorado Open Meetings Law, OML. I say OML because open meetings law is a mouthful. So if your corresponds, or if you're corresponding about scheduling, timing, or like a packet's out, those aren't OML correspondence issues, but that doesn't mean that they're not subject to Cora. Okay, so we typically are just going to provide them. You're still able to protect
So let me
certain
ask you-
private
If they say
personal data.
they want them specific to a certain subject, sending them a text message saying your meeting packets are available aren't specific to a certain subject, like any communications between the board members or the admin and the board members concerning a land use situation.
Yep, so that goes into how you're responding, which would be more of a legal discussion with you on how to respond to core requests, which aren't necessarily. I mean, y'all aren't gonna be the ones that are responding. We would
Right.
look to you. But in general, depending on how they phrase their question, their request is how we can respond. So if they are asking for something that's specific to land use, yeah, then it's not.
And we don't have to give them the overall general,
Yeah,
check your emails.
but if there is I wanna have all correspondence between town employees and board members that are electronic. I mean, then there would be not really a limitation, but we would start looking at, okay, how much is the cost gonna be for us to spend that
That's really
time?
what it comes down to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so, but that's all about the administrative side versus
correct.
not the policy side, so. Um. Emails constitute meeting, but that's really, back to the OML. Exceptions are narrowly construed, can include personnel files, privileged documents, and work product. So if there's something that's like work product that is not actually part of official business yet, then, we might not include those. But from y'all standpoint, really, we just stress the whole avoid using personal stuff if you don't want us looking through it. All right, so next training topics, ethics. Who doesn't like ethics? Conflict of interest, governmental immunity, and public official liability. Because yeah, sometimes y'all can be liable if you do things that aren't
They're
good.
just gonna blame it all on Kim.
Yeah, and so you can exempt out, so that's all I have for today.
Presentation sent to our emails, your PowerPoint.
Because Bailey's not here tonight, Bailey
Yeah.
really needs.
Yeah, we can.
To, so everybody's.
Yeah, and we have it on the little jump drive. So.
Baby's in Mexico, right?
Yeah,
No, she's at Lake
yes,
Powell.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she left the country.
Oh,
Before we adjourn and talking about the next training, I need to remind you guys that next month's meeting falls on a holiday. So we will not be having it the second Tuesday, we'll be having it on Wednesday,
What holiday
is
is that?
Veterans Day.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So-
Okay.
So I have a question. I only have, my company email for everything. I don't have a personal email.
You do, that's the one we were talking about today.
Well, your town email.
Your
county,
town
the one
email.
he's talking about, the mchance@townoftitle.com.
But you sent it to my other email.
You didn't see it in the other one because
Yeah, I did.
you're logged out.
No, on the.
Well, your company email, meaning like your business
Yes.
email has it, so same concept, if you
Yeah.
don't want us going through it, then don't use it. Make sure you're having everything go to your town
Yeah,
email.
so, right now you are sending it to my business,
I did,
but
to High
just,
Plains,
yeah,
but
just so you know.
we're getting your password reset.
Yeah,
So we
okay.
don't have
Yeah.
that problem.
And in that case, all that would happen is, they would see an email from her going to your work one, the request might be rephrased to say that they wanna have all correspondence that you've done to your work, your actual business one. And if you don't have anything, like literally, if the email that she sent to you is the only one, then that's just what you would tell us. You would say, I don't have anything. And you would
Okay.
say,
Okay.
in a response, we would say, there are no additional documents from that email. So you don't have to create something. So that's what I'm saying, like, don't use it. Like, don't use it to correspond going out.
I don't ever correspond back. I just read what she said, which is, here's the packet or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So our next meeting is the 12th.
Yes, ma'am.
The 12th.
Yeah,
12th of.
November, well,
I forgot to tell the water board that.
it's okay, you just send them an email, but it's the second Wednesday instead of the second Tuesday just that month, because Veterans Day falls on a Tuesday.
Okay.
Josh, thank you very much. That was very informative to me, and I hope it was for the rest of you
Yeah.
guys too.
My pleasure.
Okay. In the past, there have been conflicting things going on. That's why I was asking so many questions, so I knew where my mind's supposed to be.
Ask away.
Okay. Old business, Kim, do we have anything?
No, ma'am.
I do have one comment I wanna make, we have, an IGA. That was sent over, well, actually, well, the one with the. Well. That affects KWWA, not us.
Yep.
We sent an IGA, a proposed one over to the county. When, August 20 something.
Very end. Yeah.
And then we were told that they didn't get it. And I resent it to them, Kim resent it again. So it is in the works, but we're waiting for the county to decide what to do.
And that's in regard to them
Go on, Milton.
killing.
Yes. Yes. So it's there. They just haven't done anything with it
Yeah,
yet.
I will tell you, it's been made knowledge to me that the attorney that they have right now is experiencing a very, very sad personal loss. It's playing its way out. So it's causing delay in getting that return, so.
But I just want everybody to be aware. Because we've been told, oh, no, there isn't one. And actually, the county manager even said, oh, no, there isn't one. And it's like, yes, there is one. It just hasn't been signed.
Can you say what it is?
It's just the intergovernmental agreement that the town did with the county for the rental of the Kellogg building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So, can I ask on that, cause that's still, I thought that intergovernmental agreement was for all real estate inside Kiowa. That's when we sat down and had lunch. That's where it was, all real estate. Elbert County owns enough ground inside the city limits of Kiowa. I don't, I realized that one of the focal points was on the rental property,
mhm,
but at that discussion between us and
Mhm.
the commissioner, it was on all real estate. And he agreed that Elbert County did not need to own any more land inside the city limits of Kiowa.
mhm.
So how did we get away from that?
Because it just addressed that particular building at the time. And
So just know it's in a very rough draft form because at the point where it was sent, it was not completed by our previous attorney.
right,
So, and I preface that, it's a very, very rough draft with very basic basis to it. So it's a starting point. It's not even a, yes, I will.
Yeah.
Yes,
Cause, I mean, seriously,
yes.
we as the trustees of this community. And if I say this, it's gonna be misconstrued, and it already has been more than once. But honestly, the last thing we need inside the town limits is another piece of property to either go to a charity situation and or the government.
I don't,
Non-taxable.
yeah, I don't think you're gonna get any argument on
If
that.
that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
and Trevor, my opinion on this. I didn't take away that it was for all property. If they were to come, say Mona moves out of her store and they come and say, okay, we want to rent Mona's store.
They approved that for the contract?
That needs to be an IGA in itself for each one,
No.
because we need the final say so.
Time out, here's the difference, here's where I'm going, and I think you've missed it. Is the bank building is a prime example. That building, I think, was worth, I forgot what the number was, of tax base annually.
Mhm,
Soon as that became a county building, it became zero.
right,
Scott Kellogg's building, while he's renting to the county, we still get tax base.
yes,
My statement directly to that gentleman was we needed it where they did not own title, any more real estate in Kiowa, Colorado. I don't know how that got misconstrued, because I said it. We need to have the assurance. I understand the rent. And the whole problem that started the whole mess was when a county manager threw out that, well, we get this tied down as a rent, we're gonna go forward as a rent to own. That was my whole intentions when I told that man in front of you and you, we don't need Elbert County government to own another foot of property owned in Kiowa, Colorado. I don't care if they go and rent all Mona's building.
Okay, but
It's still, it doesn't change our tax base from that standpoint.
I understood.
So
Do
there's,
we have the right to say you can't buy that building?
Josh,
No.
I didn't think we do.
There would be a lot of things that would have to occur ahead of you being able to control what a private business owner can and can't do with their private property. Now, one thing I was clarifying just a moment ago is that the IGA has not been discussed by this board. It has not been approved to enter by this board.
it hasn't even been discussed amongst all three of the
It's been-
commissioners either.
Yeah.
No, and
Draft.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
Change it.
The reason it's where it's at is the commissioners asked Kim to have our attorney write up an IGA for them to look at.
Yeah.
And so we did that. Well, I had a conversation with Commissioner McDaniel, and he said two of the commissioners said they never got a copy of that. And I said, that was sent to you in August. And he said, I thought I had seen it. I said, I will resend it because Kim copied me on it.
Yeah, and frankly, the reason they asked for it to start from us is because they have a brand new attorney that came in on this
Right.
after the fact, brand
That's
new.
about 3 weeks after.
Yeah,
our meeting,
and
all that
He's
came
like,
out.
I don't even know what you want me to put in this.
Right.
I get what you guys are talking about and what you guys are trying to agree to, but I'm not clear on how you want me to articulate that in some sort of agreement. So he wanted to start with Ruth. And then that didn't work
Right.
well. So,
From an IGA standpoint, the county might, look at agreeing to doing what you're talking about. Whether or not the board approves that will be the action that you all take as a board. You'll be able to have the discussion if it is only specific to one property. Trustee Smith, if at that point in time, while you're doing a debate on whether or not you're going to actually approve that agreement as drafted. You could at that point in time say, no, I want this to be for everything. I want us to put it forward to them that way. And so you could take action at that point in time to make adjustments to it. But
let me ask you
I don't
this,
think
what
it's
he's
not something that's
saying,
been approved so far.
once that is in place, is it enforceable if they still choose to proceed and lease or buy property?
Like the county itself,
Yes.
I would have to do additional research on that it would be a contractual situation,
And
but
so the whole point for that
different.
IGA,
And I get what you're saying.
I mean, for town of Kiowa, we're landlocked.
Yeah,
Because of,
Well,
and
yeah.
him using some conservation trust easements, so we're locked in. And the conversation that was had with Commissioner McDaniel was, hey, listen, we only have so many square feet available for town of Kiowa. And Elbert County government already owns close to 40%. I don't know if it's that big, but it's a large portion. By the time you figure out all the open space at the Justice Center,
Fairgrounds.
everything downtown, plus the fairgrounds. I mean, they own a sizable amount of the real estate of Kiowa.
We had already off of it.
And I said,
So-
this is where we need to protect us, cause if you keep every foot you take, you're basically starving us out. So how do we work through this? I understand that you have to lease this building to do some moving and create office space. And that, in a sense, doesn't have near the negative effects, whereas yours to go get that bill, or
Right, yeah.
own that building.
Right.
And he said, yeah, I agree. So how do we make that? And I think I phrased it as, we have this meeting, we all kind of get it, but how do we get it where it's in stone? Where if we get hit by a bus or you get hit by the same bus, that
You did.
this can carry on. And we need to protect this, cause we're the county seat.
Mhm.
And if we go bankrupt, they gotta pick up all their crap and move, which may not be the worst option. But at the same time, we are the county seat, so help us protect us so we can serve.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's nobody that loses on that deal.
Mhm.
But we have to have something, because, I mean, there's two other houses that were in Kiowa. I sat on the board when they were acquired by Albert County, because they bought them cheap, but then we flipped them back from being government back to residential. And so we've done that. There's one that used to be right by the fairgrounds that the county bought and they leveled it. I mean, so and that was 14 years ago.
I was gonna say, what else?
I mean, this is part of the thing for myself that has been here.
So the two houses down by the courthouse that. they
Yeah,
leveled.
that the level that, well, I mean, the bottom made offices and they leveled them, but I mean, I've been here over 40 years. I've watched this.
Well,
And so
and
we got,
Trevor, you
we
know,
have to protect.
that was part of the reason of us putting the emergency moratorium in place. So that, stop, you can't do this. You know, we need to sit down and talk about how we're gonna move forward with it.
So,
That's what created the whole thing. And no, we're on the same page, I think, with that. We don't want them buying. I just brought it up because there has been rumor out there that has also come from the county that there is not an IGA in place. Well,
Well,
no,
it's not a lie. There's not one in place.
right. Well, that's not what was said.
I know.
What was said was there is not an IGA. And I said, yes, there is. It's just not in place yet.
Was the draft, yeah.
Yes,
That's a draft version.
yeah.
So, anyway, now everybody,
Well, and that's good. Josh now knows what we're looking for when he gets that draft, so we can move forward with it.
And I can consider other options that the town may have to, you know, basically come to an end result that you're looking for, but maybe through other methods like zoning.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
But-
Okay,
and then honestly, with Anacow and Elbert County government, it seems like we get like a step forward, then we go 3 back. I mean, we just do.
yes,
And,
yes, you're
you
right.
know, and this is before Kim's time, but they got, I think it was 1 million ton of asphalt, recycled asphalt, and they haul it every day from Colorado Springs up Ute Avenue and put it at the north end of the fairgrounds. And Ute Avenue wasn't in great shape, but after they got done trucking 1 million ton across there, and I guess government trucks still have to go across scales like the rest of us. I mean, they pounded the ever living dog out of it.
yeah.
And I went to them,
It's
I'm
gonna
like,
happen again, Trevor.
Hey,
yeah.
Development started.
I'm like, how do we, cause you guys. With another friend, they're in the process of doing a well. I'm like, you're smashing them on impact fees for running oil equipment up and down your crappy county roads. I go, you could beat the crap out of us. Where's our impact fees? How do we do this? Cause you have hammered through.
Mhm.
They're like, well, we'll figure it. Well, they scattered a little bit of, recycled asphalt on the edges. And that was, they thought that was fair, but I mean, there's been situations like that, then the next thing you know, you'll ask them, hey, So any way we can make a deal on some ice, I certainly dump a load in it, and say, hey, there you go, don't even call,
Yeah.
never send us a bill. So, I mean, it's not, they do stuff to help us, but. I mean, there's times where I think they abuse us pretty good.
Sure. Sure. John, you have a
I
comment?
have no idea if this is part of this discussion or not. The county's first open house on the comprehensive plan for the county is Thursday night at 6 p.m. at the Ag Building. And I can tell you, based on experience for the last decades, when the county does not see anyone from the town and does not hear anything from the town, the county assumes that is approval from the town.
County should also tell the town sometimes when they're having these meetings.
Exactly.
which I
When
find it
when
up-
is the meeting?
It's their comp plan, Mona. They're doing a
Open
revised
house.
comp plan.
On the comprehensive plan,
Mhm.
the report will be the result of the survey.
Oh, for the bridge?
No.
Oh, no.
The county's
The county-
comprehensive plan has to do with the economic development zone and all commercial in the county, all commercial.
Well, this will be good.
The bridge is our deal.
Yeah, the bridge is ours.
Yeah, the bridge is the town deal.
I found out. Sorry, I'll go on discussion here at the end.
We're
They're,
in discussion.
Hmm?
We're in discussion.
excuse me. They are, the reason we're seeing a lot of trucks coming down the road. Kiowa Bennett coming into town. Is they're starting on the
Solar
solar
farm.
thing.
They've got it all leveled out there. They've been moving dirt for months.
It's a beautiful sight.
It's gonna be
You wanna
interesting
tell
when
them
they
so?
start working on that bridge.
Have a beer with.
Truckers are not gonna like how they're gonna have to go around on that bridge.
You know, the best thing will happen out of it right now, all the oversized loads. If you sit here in the morning between 6:30 and noon, the amount of oversized loads that come through Kiowa is just brain damage.
Oh.
Yeah,
That will all go away as soon as they drop that bridge,
yes.
cause they're gonna have.
Where are they gonna detour? Because I thought they were gonna make it so the trucks could go. They are, I don't know.
Well,
They
they're gonna
won't
have a
take
fly out.
oversized loads. They won't take.
So where is the detour? Up north or?
What, for oversized loads?
Mhm.
They're gonna have to either go on 24 in and around it. Or all the way into 36 on 70,
Okay.
but right now they're sitting in them, cause I ended up following one. They send them through here and then out and up. Parker Road. And
On that side, and I guarantee you they're taking County Road 77 and shooting across over 24 on that side.
no, they'll drop them at Lyman.
Well, I pass a lot of them. You know what? They're all county. They're all county semis. I pass on county roads.
But that is, I asked the guy, it's like, oh yeah. He goes, soon as the bridge goes down, the lane restriction goes back to, I think, 12 foot.
Well, they're losing their minds right now, and I don't know if you guys saw a lot of the comments on Facebook yesterday. We have a lot of truckers that are losing their minds
Yeah.
right now. I mean,
What's
that's coming
gonna
through
happen
Kiowa
to
over
that?
us reducing the 4 lanes into
Yeah.
2.
Oh, yeah, I
love it.
did hear,
They are losing their ever loving minds over
but
that.
I don't know.
And they're upset over the raised,
But how many
Walk
of them were
across.
at any of those community meetings?
That's exactly.
Not one of them.
they're concerned, and I'm just sharing this with you because
No,
you're gonna hear
yes.
this as a board out in the
Yeah.
community, because there's a lot of community members that fought back at them when they made these comments. Because this is their town and they've lived with these conditions for so many years,
Right.
but they're also upset about the crosswalks. The crosswalks have not moved. They're all in the same location where they're currently at, and they were strategically placed there well before now. Based off of where people are parking and their easiest access to get to where they're trying to get on the outside of the road, instead of putting them at the intersections. We have a lot of elderly that have to park on one side of the road and get across 2 patty ends from across the street. That's why they're placed there. And they're proposing to leave them there, except revise them where they're raised in the middle and have flower beds to make them more visible. So when you're coming down there, the trucks can see somebody standing in the middle of the highway on one of those easier than they can right now where it's just flat.
Right.
And they're
They won't look
furious
anyway.
at those raised crosswalks.
Well, they wanna park at Zeno's and then make a U and go
Mhm.
west. Now they can't.
Right.
Sorry.
So,
I had an incident a week and a half ago where I had a young father with two little babies, one in his arms. And one was trying to hold his hand because he was so little he couldn't reach his daddy's hand. Coming across the crosswalk down there in front of my building and the library. Nobody would stop for him.
Mhm.
It made me angry and I left my client and I walked outside and I'm in the middle of that dang road trying to stop people.
Yeah.
And he's running across, I'm like, don't run. You know, these guys,
Make
it's
them
a
stop.
Colorado state law that you have to stop.
You have
You have to stop
yield to
and
them.
you cannot go until that person is out of that crosswalk.
I know.
And so a lot of people don't understand that. And then a friend of mine was walking across so she could go down and have lunch with her kids. Nobody would stop. Nobody would stop. She started coming across the road and I saw her in the mirror. And I went out there again and I'm like, and I do this on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And it just makes me angry.
can they put up some barricades or something temporarily to control something like that? Like, can CDOT do something to make?
Well, that's what they're doing.
crosswalks?
They're raising the
Well, I mean,
crosswalks.
now, like, now.
They probably
but-
won't now,
No,
No,
no, not.
because their view on everything, I mean, we're lucky that we get potholes filled on 86, because in their view, we're gonna be tearing all that up
Mhm.
soon, so why should we mess with it?
Now, I know in downtown, okay, I'm gonna use Aspen and Glenwood Springs as, because I drove those roads for 6 months up there in the winter. They have signs clearly stating in the middle of the road that must stop for pedestrians.
Yes.
It's Colorado state law.
Durango
I
has
would-
that too.
I would like to see that here
Yeah,
at
We
some
even
point.
have the flashers.
no,
We only have one spot that has flashers, and
flashers.
that's up here by the school.
yeah,
But I
The
mean,
others
the-
don't.
But the new grant, like the
But
funds,
that's
everything.
gonna
yeah,
be.
it's, yeah, it's not, so the warrant analysis that they did down 86 did not, according to CDOT's criteria, or you wanna call it, warrant flashing lights there.
Yeah.
That's why they chose to do the raised center. So if the pedestrian's walking across the highway and there's traffic coming and they get stuck, they're stuck somewhere safer
Yeah,
than they are right now. They're
right,
very vulnerable right now.
Yeah.
As Tammy's explaining.
yeah.
We even had, and just to let you guys know, we had been fighting to get a light out here in front of Town Hall. At Kiowa Bennett and 86. The warrant analysis right now didn't give the foot traffic. Or the traffic enough. That it warranted one there right now,
Yeah.
okay, but. What we are able to do, we're pushing to do, is set the base for them. Because one of the developer we were involved with, recently, is putting in a very large development. Just a hair's breadth outside of their required limit to make us a referral agency.
Hmm.
So they felt no need to send us anything. With regard to that development and the impact Kiowa is gonna have directly because of that, which is. The large trucks, the hundreds and hundreds of large material trucks that will be coming through Kiowa and up and down Kiowa Bennett Road, destroying our roads. That probably is gonna end up happening after we just finished this new project through here. The county approved it with no
input from,
input
Yeah.
from the town or any stipulations as to what they need to do to rectify the damage they're gonna cause on our roads. So this is a problem. And we don't really know what to do with it right now.
well, we
until it
really do.
starts.
I don't care what their report says,
But,
we really need a light.
CDOT,
Road.
Teddy has said CDOT, should be able to help with something with regard to that. So, you know, I am looking to our friends at CDOT to help us in that situation, what we can do.
Yeah.
So, well, as it gets closer, it's something we need to,
One jump at a time.
yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
I'll throw it out.
Okay.
Our meeting tomorrow.
Okay,
No, no, reason.
but we are gonna set the base for a traffic light out here.
Basin power.
And we'll know more about County Road 45 intersection. And what needs to be done with that after this election. Because if we're gonna move that school over on County Road 45, there's gonna have to
Oh, yeah,
be
they're
some
gonna have to do
consideration
something. Yeah,
on that intersection
Yeah.
over there. But they're looking at that one too, to
Oh,
revise the turn radius and
It's their
such.
problem.
It is. It is.
okay, kids, it's getting past my bedtime.
That's
Well,
past my
sure.
bedtime.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. 9:23.
Yep. Night, Jonathan.
Good night, Jonathan.
Night, Jonathan.